Take one. I'd got my first game of Warhammer the Old World under my belt and I was ready for the next one. I didn't get the rules quite right in my first game, but in my next game I'll be facing up against Commander Kodie, a veteran of the Crown Grand Tournament. At least he will guide me through the rules. Now, Commander Kodie has brought Vampire Counts to the fray, a 750 point battle, small and easy to manage. In 6th edition, Vampire Counts always posed a problem because of fear, but I was gathering that fear was not such a big issue in Warhammer the Old World. My army Moonstomp 750 is the same as my Night Goblin force in the last game, but with a few bits added on. The general will again be a Tempole, my Night Goblin war boss, light armour, burning blade, spiteful shield, which turns any rolls of 1 to hit or to wound on the war boss into an automatic strength 4 hit. I also gave him a potion of foolhardiness to overcome that fear which we'd get from the Vampire Counts. My Shaman Buster is now a level 4 and I gave him the Idol of Gork, which increases the dispel range by 3 inches, allows for a reroll once per turn on dispel. He also has the Burning Blade, just in case of any ethereal creatures. 20 Night Goblins again. Spears full command, this time 2 Fanatics. 6 Squigs herded by 2 herders with spears. 3 Trolls, great weapons. Don't know why it's worth even saying that. Also going to come with great weapons. That's Stone Trolls, by the way. 2 Snotling bases, and I brought along 1 Pump Wagon. And here is Commander Kodie's to tell us what he has brought along to the battle. So what we got?
Alright, so it's 16 ghouls with a unit champion, which is that model there.
They're skirmishers still.
No, open order, how that be.
Alright.
So they got choice of open order or skirmisher. I'm going to have them in open order because I don't have all the little tiny dividers for these.
Oh, so that's the only reason.
Only reason. Then the Graveguard are moonlighting as Skeleton Warriors, so that's going to be 24 of them.
Yeah.
Hand weapon shield. Full commands, so musician, standard, and this guy, the Pauldron, will be the unit champion. Then we're going to have 20 zombies. There is a musician in there, I just don't know where the model's at the moment, but standard bearer that.
Can they have champions in this edition?
No.
Because in 6th they couldn't have a champion.
No, a 6th, 7th and 8th didn't have, and same with this one, so I don't know if it was...
Yeah, I just wondered if they'd changed it.
So yeah, haven't changed it, but to be honest, I wouldn't sense that much zombie champion, really. Then we're going direwolves, so for this one, the unit champion's going to be this one here. Sadly, my unit champion is damaged. So we've got white, I'll get this right, Lord, BSB, because for some reason King is like the Lord variant and Lord is the hero variant. So yeah, BSB has got a hand weapon shield, and then we've got
level 2
necromancer
with a familiar.
With the spell familiar there. And we've got a vampire floor here, and horse with a lance and a shield.
So that'll be your general still?
Yes, that has to be my good choice, and that is how we turn him into a wizard. And if he wears armour,
he can't
cast spells unless he costs special armour.
That looks massive, that force.
Yeah.
It's 750. I never expected it that big. I'm trying to look. Oh dear. Here is a view of the battlefield before deployment, and here is how we set up. The Darbles behind the hill, the Necromancer Acolyte in his block of zombies, 7 wide, protected by an 8 wide screen of ghouls. The other side of the house is a skeleton block, 6 wide, with the White Lord, battle standard bearer, in amongst him, and on the right flank, the armoured Thrall. In the Night Goblin force, the Snotlings are holding the ruins, then the central force of the Squigs, Trolls, and here I made an error, having the War Boss out of the Night Goblin block. My intention was to herd the Trolls. This would have been better in the Night Goblin unit. Another error I made was to have the Shaman Buster actually in the Night Goblin unit, restricting his visibility and arc of control. And finally, the Pump Wagon on the right flank. Right after deployment, the units with Vanguard are moved, the direwolves and the snotlings. We roll for first turn and Commander Kodie wins. The Necromancer General used the heck in the command phase to increase the zombie block to 26 zombies. In the movement, every unit moved up, yet the zombies used a little caution, wanting to keep out of dispel range of the Night Goblin Shaman at the moment. So nothing really happened. The trolls passed their stupidity test. Nothing was in hex range and nothing was in charge range, so everything but the Night Goblins moved on up towards the enemy. The Snotlings launched a missile attack on the direwolves and missed. Buster, the shaman, launched Foot of Gawk to discourage the ghouls or direwolves from charging the trolls. And to finish off the magical power, the Thrall, who was in direct range of Vindictive Glare that would negate any armour and give a powerful multi-wound kick. The Vampire Counts were powerless to dispel it with a fated dispel, and the Strength 7 beam went off. The Thrall was as good as dead, as long as I didn't roll a 1.
Turn 2, Vortex stays what it is. Turn 1 didn't happen much. Snotlings missed. He's raised even more zombies there. Missed him with a magic missile. So turn 2 for the zombies.
As well as the raised zombies, I was losing count at this stage. The Necromancer cast a spell called Spirit Leech on the trolls. This reduces leadership by 2 and prevents the unit using the general's leadership. I could not dispel this and my trolls were affected by the spell. If I lost combat or I had to take a panic test, these trolls were fleeing. In the movement phase, I was surprised that Kodie declared a charge on the trolls with his direwolves. This would mean running through the Gork vortex. The direwolves were successful on the roll and lost only 1 wolf charging the trolls. The ghouls and the zombies shuffled slightly, not wanting to move because of the vortex. On the other flank, the Thrall, untouched and unharmed, charged the pump wagon, who got to throw objects at the charging vampire. Of these that hit and wounded, just bounced off the Thrall's thick armour. In combat, the Thrall smashed through the pump wagon and overran into the wheel of the Night Goblin deployment zone. In the other combat, the direwolves bounced off the stone trolls, only causing a single wound, which was regenerated. The great weapons smited the wolves, and any that were left crumbled due to combat res. Night Goblin returned too. At the start of the turn, it was time to move the vortex. I had visions of it smashing through the ghouls and then into the zombies, maybe even clipping the Vampire General. Instead, it moved back towards my lines, cutting through the trolls and narrowly missing the Night Goblin war boss. Of course, this time, I roll high for hits, and 1 stone troll is brought down by this bumbling foot of Gork. This caused a panic check, and under the influence of Spirit Leech, these trolls needed a snake eyes to stay where they were. They fled, and again, rolling high, the trolls lolloped away from the battle lines. The war boss was forced to take a panic test, but passed. The game is still not lost, so I moved the Squig Herd up and the Snotlings. The war boss, no longer having trolls to herd, ran to the protection of the house to avoid getting charged. Also not wishing to get charged by the loose Thrall in the Night Goblin lines, the Shaman moved the other side of the Night Goblin unit. A new vortex spell was cast in front of the Skeleton Horde, and a solitary magic missile blasted one of the skeleton unit to pieces. Vampire Counts, turn 3. Before resolving any actions, I got to move the stone trolls, as they were entitled to move within the movement phase, as they did not flee, but fell back in good order, because the unit strength was still above 50% of the starting force. I think, is it if they're below 25%, they has to flee? I'm not too sure. But as though it was above 50%, they fell back in good order, and so when the movement phase came on,
Instead of still being fleeing, they were entitled to move again as they fell back in good order. I think this turn Kodie failed to roll more zombies, but he was close to the 40 limit anyway. One action Kodie was successful at, though, was dispelling the Foot of Gork, which had remained stationary this turn. In the movement, the Skeleton Horde, now free from the vortex, moved forward. The ghouls skewered around to allow the Necromancer line of sight of the battlefield. Most dangerously to me, the Thrall rushed along behind my battle lines and turned to face the Shaman. Nothing else occurred, so end of turn. Night Goblin turn 3. The two trolls went stupid. My war boss swallowed the potion of foolhardiness, making him immune to psychology. I needed to get into action as I was starting to lose. With the Thrall looking a bit scary so close to the Shaman, I cast Itchy Nuisance on the vampire, which was successful. However, I only rolled a 1 on the D3, which meant the Thrall was now toughness 4 instead of 5, which didn't look as if it would help that much. With the approaching Skeleton Horde, I thought it was about time to release the Fanatics, so out popped 2. You can only see 1 on the diagram, as when rolling for distance during the random movement phase, 1 flopped a little forward and the other rolled a glorious 12, which would have impacted on skeletons, but as it is a double, the Fanatics die in this edition, even on the first turn. Aside from these Fanatics, in the movement phase I tried to charge with the Squigs. This ended up a failed charge, and it looked like next turn the ghouls would be ripping them to pieces. The Snotlings changed formation from skirmish to open order. The trolls moved forward as far as they could with their stupidity, and the Shaman stayed to face the Thrall as there was little place he could run to. A bold move was by the Night Goblin warboss. He charged a skeleton unit in the flank. I felt with the failed charge of Squigs I'd lost the battle and was now in a desperate plea. Besides, the Fanatics might have taken out a rank, but they obviously didn't. The Shaman now had to deal with the Thrall. I cast Vindictive Glare successfully and scored a wound, which was not regenerated, and caused a D3 total of 1 wound. So he was still alive, dead, undead, alive, whatever it is, and now really angry. I cast Foot of Gork Vortex in between the Shaman and Thrall, which might protect him. The combat phase saw my warboss lay out a challenge to the Right Lord Battle Standard Bearer. This would take out a +1 combat resolution and stop the 5/6 regeneration from the magic banner. But Kodie was far too wise a general and refused the challenge. Still, for this combat, the Battle Standard Bearer was out of action. I launched my 4 attacks at the skeletons, hoping to slay the fighting rank. I took down 2, but 1 regenerated. 3 skeletons hit back, but all missed, and 1 rolled a 1 on the 2 hit, which meant a strength 4 hit from the spiteful shield. This time, the skeleton did not save or regenerate, but was smashed to pieces. The skeletons had 2 ranks, close order, and a standard bearer, given a total of 4. I had caused 3 wounds, and I had flank. A draw! But then Kodie pointed out that the warboss hand weapon was no flying V. So his skeletons won because of the musician. I got to roll on the break test as the warboss was currently immune to psychology. But he rolled badly and failed and ran. The skeletons elected to pursue and ran the warboss down. Vampire counts turn 4. I'm going to be briefer now as the game was starting to wrap up. The ghouls charged the Squig herd, the skeletons charged the flank of the trolls. The ghouls killed 7 Squigs, but the remaining 3 Squigs inflicted 3 wounds on the ghouls. This was not enough to help, and the herd disappeared, bouncing off the battlefield, but not causing a Squig bomb. The tally was 3 Squigs. The ghouls failed to restrain and moved forward a little. The troll hit in the flank died, which meant the remaining troll fled. The skeletons restrained and reformed to face the Night Goblin block.
On a better note for the Night Goblins, the Thrall elected to charge through the vortex. I can't remember if the vortex remained stationary or moved a little, but whatever the case, the Thrall needed to pass through it and get revenge on the Night Goblin. As he passed through, and thanks to itchy nuisance, he succumbed to wounds received and died before reaching the shaman. Night Goblin turn 4. The last single troll fled off the field. The Snotlings, now in close order, moved to the top of the hill ready to engage the zombies. The Night Goblin unit attempted a charge on the skeleton unit. They failed the charge and remained on the slope of the hill. The shaman, not wanting to be an alternative target of the skeleton units, moved around behind the Night Goblin. Vampire Count's turn 5. The ghouls wheeled around to face the Snotlings. The skeleton unit charged the Night Goblins and managed to win, despite not killing that many, thanks to the presence of the battle standard bearer. The Night Goblins rolled well, but had to fall back in good order. This caused the shaman to panic as he was fled through, and he fled off the field. Night Goblins turn 5. The Snotlings charged the flank of the zombie unit. Not that I was hoping to do anything at this, but whilst being engaged in combat, the Necromancer would be unable to cast spells. The Night Goblins and the Skeletons continued their fight, this time getting the upper hand on the skeleton unit, and the Skeletons gave ground. Final round. Vampire Count's turn 6. The ghouls charged the Snotlings and finished them off, and the Skeletons finally defeated the Night Goblins enough to make them flee off the table. I had been completely tabled, no units left on the table at all.
Completely tabled.
And the end conclusion for this battle. Overall, I'd been humbled this time in Warhammer the Old World. I'd made terrible mistakes with the shaman, where I couldn't get used to the spells of the Warlore, as I kept thinking I was playing 6th edition, and the spells are just not the same. And I've learnt my lesson from casting Foot of Gulk too close to my own units. I won't be doing that again. If you've watched to the end, thank you for watching. Well done. I've now got 84 subscribers, which is a massive amount from 3 last year, I think it was. And if you have watched to the end, can you please leave a comment? I welcome all feedback.